Terezie Tolar-Peterson is a professor of nutrition and the chair of the Department of Health Sciences and Human Ecology at California State University, San Bernardino. Terezie, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity.
So to start, can you tell us about the Global Nutrition Lab and what it does?
Yeah, thank you. So we set up Global Nutrition Lab here at California State University, San Bernardino, in the Department of Health Science and Human Ecology to work on our research and to involve students in our research. Our research is mainly in African countries, in Nigeria and in Zambia. And we also have Sustainable Food Systems grant, which is more focused on capacity building here in Inland Empire.
So, what does food safety look like in the context of your work?
Yeah, so food safety is very important regarding nutrition in low-income countries. So, for example, we have grants in Nigeria, which was focused on food processors of fish, local small food processors. And one of the things we find out is that because of food safety and poor knowledge of food safety, majority of the catch of the fish got spoiled before it's made to the market. And it's very important because it's a livelihood for large low-income population in that area. And because they lost up to 60% of the catch, they also lost the income from selling the product. And in that area, they processing the fish mainly in smoking. They smoke the fish before it's sold on the market. So it's also, of course, it's not only the livelihood, but it's also food safety is important for health. Spoiled fish, which is contaminated with bacteria or even other contaminants. What is very common in that area is some chemical contaminants could affect the health of the population, but primary is danger for children, right? Very small children. One of the common practice in that area is to spray the catch with pesticides to prevent contamination with the flies and insects and of course pesticides are very toxic especially for small children. So that's another reason why food safety is very important and crucial in those areas, especially with fish. Fish is very nutritious food. It's contain many vitamins and minerals, which are important for growth for children. It's contain omega-3 fatty acids, which are important for childhood brain development. But if the fish is contaminated with pesticides, it could be very dangerous for those children to consume.
Yeah. So could you talk about what are sustainable fishing practices and post-harvest techniques?
Yeah, so I am not a fish expert. I am a nutrition expert. But the post-harvest techniques are and the food safety, which is very big part of the post-harvest techniques, are very important to prevent the catch from spoilage, but also to use the whole catch. And regarding some of the fishing practices, what is important is guidelines regarding, for example, overfishing, and maybe to have time when fishing is not allowed during the breeding season and things like that, because again, large portion of the population living in areas where they depend on the fish for nutrition also depend that there is constant supply. And if there are not guidance regarding fishing practices, it could happen that, for example, the lake could be overfished, and this population, which depends on the fish, lose, their nutrition, and their income.
Yeah. Well, so how are vulnerable populations benefiting and improving health outcomes as a result of this work?
Yes, so we have, so one of our research we had in Nigeria was focused on food processors. Food processors are very low income and vulnerable population. It's usually women. Many of those women are have very low literacy and very limited access to education. So by us providing support and education, how they could prevent, for example, the spoilage, how they can increase the opportunity to sell the product or process the products for higher income, we help them to be more, to be less vulnerable, I will say. Our other research we have is using fish powder from small fish, which is called capinta, to increase protein intake in children. So many in those two areas we work, in Nigeria and in Zambia, there is high percentage of children are malnourished. So if they are malnourished for a longer period of time, it's called stunting. That means they will not grow to their potential. If it's acute malnutrition, it will be wasting. Sometimes it's combination of both. And what our project is doing is using local fish, powder it in small, in powder, so it could be fed to infants and mixed with the local porridge. We also have research where we mix this fish powder, which is very nutritious, with Tom Brown supplement. So Tom Brown supplement been on the market for vulnerable population and for malnourished children for forever. But the new novelty is to add this fish powder to the Tom Brown, which increase the protein. And children need more protein per kilogram of weight than adults, of course, because they are growing and they are developing. So by adding this fish powder to the porridge, which is mostly carbohydrate, or to the fish, to the Tom Brown, we increasing the protein, and it helps children to grow and to prevent malnutrition. So those are all vulnerable. Those are children from vulnerable population, low income population, usually from areas which are maybe affected by war, but some kind or some kind of instability, where anything could disrupt the little they had. So it could be flood, it could be some kind of conflict, it could be and many different things.
So what makes vulnerable populations vulnerable? Is it what you just described, the flood and the conflict, or are there other dynamics at play?
Yes, yes. So exactly what I already described in low income countries, but it's the same in high income countries, right? Low income population is usually the most vulnerable, and they are vulnerable because of they don't have the safety net, so anything can disrupt, but the little they have, like the access to food, access to shelter, access to clean water. So in low income countries, it's usually there is larger portion of this vulnerable population, and it's make them vulnerable to any kind of stressor. And the stressor could be political situation, it could be climate, it could be anything. And from the vulnerable population, the most vulnerable always are children, because they cannot take care of themselves. And who is taking care of children are usually their mothers. So they are also vulnerable population, because many times they don't have the same opportunities as the male counterparts. So they don't have the same employment opportunity, they don't have the same education, and that's or access to education, or even in some countries access to savings, to banks, all these structures. So that's what makes them more vulnerable. And society is usually measured on how well you can take care of the vulnerable population. So you either prey on this population and take away from them the little they have, or you somehow support them and try to take them from that situation. uh, and vulnerable population, again, it could be minority, it could be immigrants, it could be any kind of population like that, which is more at risk for any kind of stressor.
Yeah. Well, so what does the future of this work look like?
Yes, unfortunately, most of our work in Africa was supported by USAID grants, and unfortunately, in January of this year, USAID fundings was terminated. So we are currently looking for other opportunities to fund our research, especially we are looking at foundations and some governmental grants too, but mainly from foundations at this time. Our other grant for sustainable food systems sponsored, focus more on local capacity building here in Inland Empire, is ongoing, supported by USDA. So we are happy about that. But for international work, I think we really need to find other fundings. It's currently on hold, unfortunately.
Hmm. Well, I hope you do find funding and you're able to continue to do this work internationally. And I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about your research and share your insights. And I hope we can continue the conversation down the road.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you. Bye-bye.